Hello, I am Yvonne Thomas, Director of Evanston's Health and Human Services Department. Each year, the National Restaurant Association makes September Food Safety Education Month. This month-long campaign focuses on the importance of food safety education for the restaurant and the food service industry while raising the awareness of the industry's commitment to food safety. This year's theme is Food Safety Thrives When You Focus on 5. The Evanston Health and Human Services Department is making this information available to residents because we believe that food safety begins with you at home. For more information about food safety, please visit the city's website at www.cityofevanston.org/food. You can also email the city's food inspectors with questions about food safety at safefood@cityofevanston.org or call 847-866-2949. The video you are about to see is made available through the cooperative efforts of the Evanston Health and Human Services Department and the owners of Now We're Cooking.
Hi, my name is Nell Funk, and I'm the owner of Now We're Cooking, the culinary center here in Evanston. Today we're working with the Evanston Health Department to provide you with some information on how to keep food safe in your home as you're preparing meals for your friends and family. Luckily, we have as our expert, our resident expert, Chef Mary McMahon, the culinary director of Now We're Cooking and an experienced executive chef from many of Chicago and Evanston's best restaurants. And Chef Mary, we're going to be working with poultry and with vegetables today. What are the key things that we should be thinking about as we're working with food in our home to keep the food and our meals and our friends safe?
Well, hi, Nell. There are 5 things that we want to consider when we are preparing food. The first thing that we want to consider is to purchase our product from a safe and reputable dealer. The second is to ensure safe cooking temperatures. The third thing we want to do is everything that we can to prevent contamination or cross-contamination of our food. We want to practice good hygiene, and we want to maintain a clean kitchen and a neat and orderly work area.
So we thought it would be fun to go ahead and cook a quick summer dish. So we've chosen a quick summer chicken sauté, and it has a variety of vegetables, which you can see here in front of us, some peppers, some tomatoes, a little zucchini, some onion, and it has, of course, chicken. So, Chef, how about if I get the chicken out and we can start preparing the meal?
Let's cook now.
So this is chicken that was purchased frozen, and we have defrosted it in the refrigerator, and you'll notice that it's on a plate, which I did to keep it from, as it defrosted, to keep it from dripping on other products in the refrigerator. What else should we think about as we're handling this before we're ready to cook it?
Well, there are a couple things to think about. When you're defrosting meat in the refrigerator, it's always a good idea to defrost on the bottom shelf to prevent it from coming in contact with any other food in your refrigerator. It's a great idea to have a plate underneath it. And another thing to consider is you can also defrost in the microwave. If you defrost in the microwave, we do recommend that you begin cooking immediately.
Okay, so the other things, when we purchase this, we look for a couple of things. One, we look for the color, and this is true whether you're purchasing beef or chicken, pretty much anything, including vegetables. For poultry, you like sort of a pinkish. I guess in general, our theory is if it doesn't look like it's fresh, it probably isn't. So when you're buying poultry, if it looks sort of yellowed and dried around the outside, that's probably not too fresh. And you probably ought to pass and find another package. Also, most packages are sell-by dated, today. So look for the sell-by date, and you'll be more assured that you have a good product.
Another good rule of thumb when you're walking through a grocery store is if it smells like the chicken department or if it smells like the fish department, you probably don't want to purchase your product there.
Exactly. Same thing when you open. I'm just going to slice this, and we're just going to take a quick smell. If it smells fresh, and this you can barely smell the chicken, then that's a very fresh product. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we're going to start to cut it, so I'm actually going to wash my hands. What do you think?
I think washing your hands is the first and foremost thing you'd like to do. A couple things. How long are you going to wash your hands for now?
Well, probably not long enough.
No. General rule is 20 seconds, and 20 seconds can feel like a very long time. So a lot of what we recommend in a professional kitchen is as you're washing the hands, say the alphabet to yourself and or sing happy birthday.
And I'm going to go for the alphabet because I'm a terrible singer. So
there we go.
A, B, C, D. Okay, I'm about done. That was about 20 seconds. And kitchen towel or paper towel?
Paper towel. Now, often a lot of home cooks also like to use sanitizer. One thing to remember is that sanitizer does not take place of hand washing. You can enhance it by using the sanitizer, the little antibacterial, or wash your hands. However, again, hand sanitizing does not take the place of hand washing.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about preparing the chicken, and one of the big opportunities for cross-contamination in a home kitchen is the utilization of one cutting board, which most of us try to do at home, to cut everything. Particularly when you're dealing with things like proteins, chicken, poultry, meat, fish, that's a really bad idea because it will then contaminate all the other food that you cut on the board. One of the easy and wonderful solutions that the market has come up with for this are these color-coded plastic cutting boards. They go right in the dishwasher. They're coded for different things. So for example, green for your vegetables, blue for your fish, and yellow for your poultry, which we love for today. And then there's red, which you can use for red meats. So we're just going to use this. As a chef, if you happen to be using a wooden cutting board, what are your alternatives for cleaning it once you're done cutting your poultry?
If I were using a wooden cutting board at home, what I would do would be start with all of the vegetables and cut all of my vegetables first, and then cut my chicken last. After I cut the chicken, there are a couple things we could do. One is just to remove the board and get another board to finish up your cooking process. The other is you could sanitize this board. And to sanitize the board, you can use just a little home spray bottle fill that up and put about half a capful of bleach in it. Spray the board with bleach. You're best off using a paper towel, drying it off with a paper towel, and then letting it air dry.
Okay, so while the chef was giving us that good information, I've turned on my pan. This recipe calls for chicken cut in small pieces, so I'm just going to sort of slice it in more or less bite-sized pieces. And we're going to saute it up in a little bit of olive oil. So those are all about the same size. We'll put a little olive oil in our pan here and give it a swirl. And give it another second to get hot. And then the other ingredients in the dish are all these wonderful vegetables. This is a very versatile dish. You can put whatever summer vegetables you happen to have. We happen to have pepper, and we discovered as we pulled this out of the bag that this is a great example of how we didn't look closely enough at the product that we were purchasing. What's wrong with this picture?
When you're purchasing your vegetables, you want to visibly inspect them. Make sure that the skin is nice and shiny, that it's not dried or shriveled up, and that there are no blemishes. And something to get a hold of this, we do have a little blemish here. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that this is not usable. What we can do with this is cut it open, inspect the inside of it, and smell it, and see if it's okay. If it's okay, we'll just discard this piece that's not so pretty looking here and go on and use the rest of the pepper. The same thing with tomatoes. We have some examples of tomato here. We have some spots. It looks like it's a little bit dry and shriveling up, and this is a really good example of the kind of tomato. It's firm to the touch. It's nice and shiny. There are no blemishes on it.
We also recommend washing all our vegetables. don't we?
Absolutely, wash everything before you cut
You
with
don't know who's handled it and how much pesticide was put on it in the growing process. So we recommend washing everything. So I'm going to put the chicken in here and let it start to saute. And then I'm going to get rid of these utensils right in the sink, and they would go right in at least the cutting board would go right in the dishwasher when I'm finished. And I'm going to rewash my hands because I've been handling poultry.
Now, if you do not have a spare knife and you're only using one knife, this is a really good time to stop and make sure that you wash your knife thoroughly with soap and water and then let it air dry before you proceed.
Excuse me, Chef.
Good hand washing.
So while that's cooking, so now we're just going to chop up our vegetables a little bit. And the first thing we're going to use is the pepper, so we'll take a look at the inside of this pepper and see what we've got. Happily, it's not home to any resident friends. We're going to get rid of that piece, I think. And we're just going to trim it up a little bit. Basically, this recipe calls for letting the chicken cook until it's mostly hot through, and then adding the vegetables. But what does that mean in terms of temperature, Chef? How am I going to know when my chicken is done?
Well, the first way that you'll know is by a visible inspection. If you take a look at the chicken right now that's going in the pan, you turn it over, it certainly does start to change color as we begin to cook it. The safest way, of course, is to take a temperature. Now you say this is a small piece, how can we take a temperature? When we get closer, I can show you how to do it. We have a home thermometer. This is they're very inexpensive. You can find them in most stores. And a lot of people don't know this little hole creates a handle. What you want to do is make sure that your thermometer is calibrated correctly, so when you're testing your product that you know that it is to the specified temperature. The chicken we're going to cook to 165 degrees. So I'm going to take this thermometer, I'm going to drop it in this ice water. I'm going to hold it for 30 seconds. And if this hits down to 32 degrees, then we know that this thermometer is working properly. What are you making there, Nell?
Well, in the meantime, our chicken is doing its thing. I'm just going to turn it all over quickly, and I've been chopping vegetables. You end up wanting to put things in the pan, in this case, essentially in the order in which they cook. So when we put the vegetables in, peppers, they're a little denser, they're going to take longer to cook. So we're going to put them in immediately after the chicken is completed. Then we're going to add the onion, the zucchini, and the tomatoes at the very end and toss it up. Plus, we have lots of great herbs here. This is the perfect time of year to do a dish like this because we have some wonderful fresh herbs from the farmer's market. We have some thyme that I think we'll use a little bit of. We also have some great fresh basil, one of our favorites when you're dealing with chicken. So I'll grab a few leaves of that. And then I think we'll put a little parsley in right at the end just to punch up the color a little bit. How's our thermometer? It's pretty
32.
Pretty much on the money.
We're good.
Excellent. Okay, well, we're a couple minutes from testing our chicken here. And what are the other things in the kitchen, Chef, that we want to think about in terms of keeping our kitchen clean? So we talked about how to handle cutting boards.
We did. Another thing to think about when you're cooking and preparing and cleaning at home is the use of your dish towel. If you're using your dish towel to clean off your board rather than to use paper towels, after you cut your chicken and you clean with this dish towel, we definitely suggest that you would discard this and start with another clean towel. Another thing to think about when you're cooking at home is not to dry your hands with the same towel that you're using to clean your board or to clean your area or to clean your utensils.
And you know, when the kids come through, everybody washes their hands, you know, dries them on a towel. We don't want to be using those towels then in the food preparation area. So it's, no, you just need to think about how you separate the different areas of your kitchen, for example.
Another thing to think about when you're cooking is your vegetables can be left out a little bit longer than your chicken. They are safe out at room temperature, whereas anything like chicken, fish, or meat, you certainly wouldn't keep in the refrigerator until it's time to cook.
Speaking of which, we should probably put this chicken back in the refrigerator, don't you think?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's see, how's our chicken doing? It's getting almost there. And it's going to cook a little bit more as it's cooking with the vegetables. So I would say, why don't we go ahead and put some of the vegetables in, get those cooking, and in a couple of seconds we can start to, we'll run the thermometer into the chicken and see how we're doing. At this point, if you feel like you need a little bit more oil, if you had really lean chicken, you can add a little bit more oil to the pan to make sure that things don't stick. This is looking pretty good. I don't know if you can see this. One great thing about this dish is the color is terrific. It's a wonderful end of summer dish because you can get all the colors of the fall market.
Another thing to think of in terms of safety when you're cutting is to try to keep your fingers tucked in underneath so you don't cut yourself and contaminate yourself and or the food while you're cooking now.
No blood sausage here?
No, not today.
Okay. So this is looking pretty good. How about if we put our zucchini in and our onions in? And again, this is a great, really versatile dish. You can use almost any of your vegetables, the vegetables that you prefer. We'll saute them up. We're going to put some herbs. So I'm going to chop a little bit of thyme.
It is important to wash your herbs as well.
And we often only have to use a half of a pepper, for example. So in this case, we've got a little bit of pepper that came out of the refrigerator. What's your thought on reusing things like vegetables?
I think it's fine to reuse vegetables. It's fine to store them as long as you wrap them tightly. And one of the things I like to do at home is to throw a date on there. Know when I cut it, when I used it, so when I go back into the refrigerator, if I reuse it, I can use the oldest first and save the more fresh stuff for a few days.
That sounds like a restaurant trick, Chef.
It is a restaurant trick. It works very well. It works very well, especially if you're freezing poultry, if you're freezing meat. Very, very, very helpful little tip. This looks fine. You know, this looks clean. It looks fine. It's not wrinkled. It smells good. There's no reason not to use this pepper.
Right.
And this will add some pretty color into your saute as well if you'd like to go ahead and use this.
Beautiful. Okay, so for all of you, I hope you all sort of listen to the chef's tip on how to avoid all those frozen containers in the back of your freezer that, 6 months later you don't know what's in them. Put a label on them. All right, so this is just about done, I think.
I think so.
So I'm going to put a little bit of the final herbs in here. And of course, we always like a little salt and pepper. Because we can, we'll just do a little sprinkle here. Because we are cooking all the time, we keep our salt and pepper in small little carafes here, but you could, use a grinder if you have it in your kitchen. And Chef, I think we're probably about to the point where we want to check our chicken. So can you demonstrate how we want to do that? Do you want me to bring a piece out on the counter for you?
Bring a piece out onto the board.
Oops, what happened to it?
If you look closely at your thermometer, there's a little tiny dimple here. See that now?
Oh, right.
What you want to do is to try to get get this into this space right here. So I'm going to hold this. I'm going to take the thermometer in sideways because of the way that the chicken is cut. And we're going to hold it for 30 seconds.
Okay.
Sing happy birthday again. Then.
Oh, no. How about the alphabet? One,
Sure.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G? Okay.
It does take a little time. If you have a digital thermometer, it is a little bit quicker, but we do recommend that you temp this for 30 seconds if you're using a manual thermometer. So you can see
140.
right now we're at 140. It's still clearly moving up.
Can we show our audience?
Sure. Can you see that?
So we're clearly getting pretty close. It needs a couple of more minutes because it's just at 140. The other thing most chefs will tell you as you get more practice at this is that they can tell just by the way it feels in the pan whether or not it's done. And this is still just a little bit soft. So that would be the final thing. The way you finish off this dish then, chef, a little bit of cream would be great.
Wonderful.
Right, a little bit of lemon zest would be great. There are a lot of different ways. You might have different herbs that you wanted to put in. You could sprinkle a little parsley. But I think that pretty much covers the cooking portion of this, and I'm going to turn this off. And so now we're to the clean up the kitchen portion. And as we mentioned before, everything, particularly your cutting boards, you want to clean really well. A little bit of a sanitizer or a little Clorox diluted in water is a great thing to utilize. All of your utensils, the ones that don't have wood handles, we highly recommend putting them in a dishwasher because then they get a hot rinse, which gets as close to sanitizing them as you can possibly get. What else should we think about in terms of cleaning up?
We want to wrap our vegetables well and get those back into the refrigerator.
Okay.
And we definitely want to give this board a good clean.
Perfect.
And spray it with some bleach.
Okay, so there you have some of our tips for keeping your food safe in the home, and we hope that you all enjoy cooking and that you come back to the kitchen often with us.
Enjoy your dinner.
Bon appetit, for sure.
Hi, I'm Carl Kaniva with the Evanston Health and Human Services Department. Thank you for watching this program. We hope that the information provided gives you a better understanding of food safety for home cooking. The Evanston Health and Human Services Department would like to thank Now We're Cooking and the Evanston Community Media Center for making this possible. For more information on food safety topics, please call 847-866-2949 or email us at safefood@cityoфevanston.org. Thank you, and remember to cook safe every day.